Hey there boys, I've got a great one for you for those of you who either don't raid often or don't have access to the Forsaken DLC. However, even for those advanced players that already have all the red borders for Last Wish, you're still able to get something out of this in the form of the holiday mementos. That's right, you can get the Christmas and the Halloween mementos from this. So those are the super black and the light blue shaders available for the weapons. But I will mostly be focusing on red borders, but you can also buy those memento things for those who are interested as well. This week, Bungie dropped a new mission which lets you get red borders for Last Wish for pretty much free, and you don't have to have the DLC, and you also don't have to raid. The activities are relatively easy, however I did look at the things that you're going to have to do them in the future, and they do get pretty grindy. So in this video we're going to look at how you can get the red border weapons and also what you can do with them, because these weapons are actually some of the most powerful in the game. The first requirement for starting the quest is that you have to have done the first mission of the seasonal quest. I think it's called Final Wish, and once you've done that you'll be able to go and talk to Mara for a one-step quest, and it's a pretty easy one. It does take a little bit, but it's definitely not hard. Pretty much you need to go do a public event in a specific spot, and doing it heroic does give you more points. I'm not sure if it gives you all 3 or if it only gives you 2, but I did 1 normal and 1 heroic and was able to get it done in 2 events instead of the expected 3. After I knocked out the public events while doing patrols the whole way, I went and just grinded up Lost Sectors for the rest of it. I just did the one in Devel and Mists. It's very fast and you can clear it in under a minute if you know what you're doing, but just clear it as fast as you can. It gives 7% for each one, so it's like 15 runs pretty much to get it done. And that is literally all it takes. Once you do your quest steps, you get to go back and you get some new currency that lets you buy an item from Mara. And the items at Mara's are actually pretty good. You have access to, obviously, all the red borders for Last Wish. You also have access to all of the newest exotics for all the classes. However, it's worth noting you should only be using this to unlock them, because they come with absolutely garbage doo-doo stats. And finally, we have a bunch of consumables like golf balls and stuff, and the mementos for the 2 most recent holidays we had, the Halloween and Christmas mementos. And remember that Halloween memento is pretty good. It is just completely flat black, and you can get a bunch of these. There are apparently going to be 5 more of these after this week. Also, just so everybody knows, to my knowledge, you can only do 1 of these per account, and it is not going to be per character, unfortunately. To test this, I went on to my second character, did the first story mission of the season, and I was not able to get the quest from Mara, but I was able to look at the items that she had. That said, this is super early content and I'm trying to get it out quickly, and so if I am wrong about that, I will pin your comment. Just let me know how you get multiple of these per week if you are able to do that. And finally, let's talk about what you should be buying with this new currency. If you're a regular raider and you're able to do Last Wish, it's one of the easier raids to farm for the red borders, so I definitely wouldn't pick these up if that's you. I would only go for those if you're somebody who either doesn't raid or obviously doesn't own Forsaken, because this is much easier than doing the out of bounds. And I think that the biggest waste of money for anybody is definitely going to be buying the Ascendant Shards or alloys from this. Those are pretty easy to get from a lot of other sources, so I definitely wouldn't spend them there. You can also pick up exotic ciphers, which again I wouldn't bother getting because they're very easy to get just from Xur, albeit a little bit slow. So maybe if you're in a rush to get one specific exotic and have already used your exotic cipher, this might be worth it, but I really would get something more permanent, which would be the mementos and the red borders, again if you don't have access to Forsaken. And for those of you who are going to be getting the red border weapons for the Last Wish, I can't stress enough how much you need Apex Predator, and after that Supremacy. Then go ahead and do whatever you want, but Apex Predator and Supremacy are both basically best in slot right now. Especially the Apex is an extremely important weapon to have in any sort of setting right now. If you didn't know, the Apex Predator has access to pretty much every single desirable perk for a rocket launcher in the game, and is also on a good frame. And on top of all that, it gets to be solar, which means it's also the best element in the game right now, doing things like extending Empyrean duration and also having a lot of synergy this season, but even outside of the season, it matches with big weapons like Merciless as well. Followed by Apex, again I would go for the Supremacy. Supremacy is pretty much the king of snipers right now. It has 2 big roles, being the Kinetic Tremors Rewind and also the Bait and Switch Rewind setup. Please don't use 4th times rewind, it's not actually good, it's just a funny little meme, but it's not really effective. But Supremacy is pretty much the only unique legendary sniper in the game right now. Every single one of them is pretty much just good for some combination of Vorpal or firing line with fourth times or something. They're not really interesting, and the Supremacy is also much more powerful than any of those normal combos found on other snipers. So Supremacy is definitely a great pick as well, and it makes for a good third weapon in pretty much any other rotation, even Merciless Apex, which has a hard time incorporating a third weapon. And finally, we're going to talk about what all of the requirements are going to be for the rest of these 6 weeks to get these wish token thingies. So week 1 was obviously going to be 3 of the events, which can be done quicker using public events, and also apparently 30 activities, but most of the activities count as multiple, so it didn't actually end up being 30. Week 2, it says you're going to have to get 7 Ascendant chests. I don't know what that is, but I'm guessing that's something related to the Ascendant challenge. I haven't really done the Dreaming City stuff in forever, so yeah, somebody should just leave a comment and explain what that means, but I'm guessing it's Ascendant challenge chests. I could be totally wrong on that though, but anyways, moving on. We have week 3, which is where things get truly ridiculous, and that you have to kill 1,600 enemies in Legend or Master Lost Sectors on the Dreaming City, presumably. Fortunately, these are pretty easy, but this is obviously going to be both time-gated and very grindy and stupid. You get at most 100 enemies per lost sector, so that is going to be at least 16 runs. So definitely not going to be the most fun time ever, but fortunately the Dreaming City ones are kind of packed with enemies. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. Then with week 4, we've got another goofy one in that you have to do 1 tier 3 blind well and kill 1,500 enemies in the blind well, which seems very weird because you're gonna have to do a ton of blind well to get the kills, but only 1 to get the clear. I don't even know why the clear is even a requirement. It should just be the kills at that point. Very grindy, very stupid, pretty dumb, but pretty good loot, so it might be worth it to a lot of people. For week 5, you either have to kill 80 taken bosses or Pa'Uruk, the Farseer's Heir. I don't know who that is, but if I was to guess, it's probably an Oracle Engine boss. I could be totally wrong on that, so I would definitely appreciate a comment there as well. And finally, last week 6, ironically these have been getting gradually harder until the end. Just have to clear the Prophecy dungeon, very easy. Going to get that done pretty quickly. If you're at all fast, you can definitely clear that in 20 minutes with a decent team. So definitely going to be one of the easiest ones there at the end. Anyway, that's going to do it for the video, and if you have watched all the way to the end, I really appreciate you for sticking around and supporting the channel, and if you want to see some of my other videos, make sure to go and check those out. Most of them are still relevant. And if you want to make my day, make sure to leave a comment on the video. That's my favorite thing to do. I get a notification on my phone every time somebody sends a comment, and I always make sure to read it, and I will typically try to respond, or at least heart it. Anyways, thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.